War Pugs. So, Dank Madness wanted me to check out something from Majorkill, and it's every time the Tyranids have actually won. Now, here's the biggest problem with the Tyranids winning anything. If they win, the setting's dead. Eventually, if any faction is going to win, it's going to be the Tyranids. Like, win is going to be the Tyranids. It's going to take them a few thousand years, but, I mean, if all the speculation about the Tyranids is true, the Imperium isn't going to win because it can't advance fast enough to counter them. The Tau aren't going to win because, well, they're burgers. Chaos isn't going to win because Chaos is self-destructing. Eldar ain't going to win because there's only 4 of them left. I mean, when it comes down to it, the Tyranids have the numbers. And the Orcs don't really care about winning, they just care about fighting. Guys, it's hard to look at this and really put it up or down. They are a serious threat in the sense that eventually they are the faction that's going to eventually carry the day if nothing changes. Like, something major would have to change. When your galaxy is getting attacked on multiple sides and we haven't even seen the main force of your fleet yet show up, that's a problem. But we're going to take a look at this. Majorkill is going to let us know. Every time the Tyranids have actually won. All the links are going to be in the description down below. So, like, comment, subscribe, all the other kind of stuff. My brain is rotting. Let's go.
G'day guys and gal.
Hi.
In Warhammer 40k, every faction has their shares of wins and losses. However, to say that it is fair or balanced is to say that Cutie is a good movie that should exist. It's not.
Why do you have to go there and bring up that abomination again?
And it shouldn't. As a Custodes fan, I'm not ashamed to admit that we pretty much win all the time. Factions like the Orcs, and most notably the Tyranids, always seem to get clapped, never seeming to achieve meaningful victories and more so just acting as a punching bag for the named Space Marine characters. This does make sense. After all, Tyranids don't sell super well, and it's much more badass seeing Dante go Super Saiyan mode against all odds as opposed to the Tyranids winning and, like, you know, not being super interesting and all. But in saying this, the Tyranids do have some dubs under their belt worth talking about. After all, it would be pretty retarded if the greatest threat to the entire setting had never actually won a real battle.
1 second. She has arrived. She is here. She is staring at me, petting a cat.
Yes.
Yes? Note that she did not come in for hours and hours. But the second I hit record, something came up that she has to be here. Isn't that right, dearest?
Yes.
Do not pick up the broom. I am pausing the video now. I will soon be assaulted by the force of 1,000 suns. She has departed. For parts unknown. No, she just came in. I've been using a heating blanket because it's so cold in here. But let's get back to the dubs and losses of the Tyranids. Let's go.
Before we get started, I have 2 announcements regarding the major minis. First off, the next Xenonids are out now. The Xenonid Warriors coming in a pack of 3, or you can just get them standalone in whatever pose you want. The Warriors are incredible.
Oh my god, it's like Mortal Kombat's Baraka had a baby with a xenomorph and peed on it. It looks awesome. Are you kidding me?
Scaled to tabletop and come with both a gun and blade arm variant in one.
Look at that! What the hell? That looks sick, okay?
Purchase. This continues to round out our Xenonid roster, first with the Raptors, now with the Warriors. I'm keen to see how you guys and gals paint this bad boy. The Xenonid Tyrant Queen is in production, which will complete the holy trifecta of horrific nightmare fuel minis.
Nice.
The second announcement is, yes, I have seen the new Dante model and it is really sick. So sick in fact that I am discontinuing the Lord of Blood Major Mini. As I've said in the past with the major minis, if GW releases an official or updated model that does the character justice, I will delist my interpretation. In saying that though, before the Lord of Blood goes kaput, I want to give you guys and gal who prefer him or just want to be one of those few people on the planet to own a unique model.
I think that he's already removed these. I think he might have already removed this. So, If he hasn't, I hope you get him.
Model to pick him up. So we're doing a 20% clearance sale on the Lord of Blood. I think we only have like 50 left or something, and they will never ever get restocked. So get in before he's quite literally gone forever. Link to both the Xenonid Warriors and Lord of Blood is below. Today we will go over each of the Tyranids' main victories, detailing how they won and what impact that victory had on the setting, to determine if the space bugs of death are actually a threat or not. I'll be aiming to find a major victory over one of the each main factions. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
The issue with the Tyranids is that they are displayed as a threat via giving more popular factions a challenge instead of beating them. Every major engagement over the Tyranids usually ends in a Pyrrhic victory, but the damage done is always seemingly temporary. Tyranids attack Macragge, nearly destroy Ultramarines, Ultramarines clutch the victory and completely recover.
Right.
The Devastation of Imperial, where the Blood Angels were almost wiped out, yet immediately after the battle they were given Primaris to replace all their losses. The Tyranid attack of Cryford Liandon. Sure, a lot of Eldar died, but now Liandon is full of Wraithguard who are more powerful than normal Eldar anyways.
Right.
The Tyranids just don't seem to be able to secure the bag. In saying that though, they have done some pretty serious damage. Their arrival resulted in the loss and consumption of dozens of populated Imperial worlds, killing billions. After all, they are literally called the Tyranids because Tyran was the first world they consumed.
Right.
But their victories don't stop there. During
They were named the Space Bugs of Death by Fyodor Kryptman.
the Second Tyrannic War, the Tyranids invaded the homeworld of the Scythes of the Emperor's Space Marine chapter. The Astartes were overrun with only a small handful escaping. They landed on the world of Miriel and were like, "Fuck yeah boys, this is our new home," just as the skies darkened with Tyranid spores once again.
Yay.
Yes, that's right, the Tyranids were like, "Fuck these guys," and followed them there. Even more Scythes of the Emperor died, including their chapter master, before literally only a couple escaped with some gene seed. The Scythes are now in the slow and painful process of rebuilding their chapter. Overall, 2 back-to-back wins for the Nids that humiliated the shit out of the Space Marines.
Now, the Scythes of the Emperor are actually Ultramarine successor, but they could have some Iron Warriors gene seed in them. I'm just saying.
Imperium ain't the only one to feel the thunder though. There was a world that had a locked Chaos gate that was guarded by some Grey Knights, but instead of Chaos attacking, the Tyranids attacked because nom 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 nom. If there's one race in Warhammer 40k that doesn't discriminate, it's the Nids.
True.
Due to all the violence from the invasion, the Chaos Gate bursts open and a horde of demons rush out being like, "Face your doom, sons of the corpse emperor!" Before realizing that the Tyranids have already clapped the Imperial defenders and the world is in ruins. So the demons charge the Nids instead and the two factions face off. The demons aren't a joke. They have multiple greater demons from multiple gods, soul grinders, the whole shebang. But due to the superior Tyranid numbers combined with the Shadow and the Warp passive, the demons are beaten and banished, leaving the Nids as the victors in this unlikely 3-way battle.
And see, the Nids would not want to fight Chaos if they could at all avoid it. Primarily because most of what they would be fighting if they were fighting demons is going to dematerialize and leave them no biomass. So it's a lose-lose scenario for the Tyranids to fight Chaos, to fight the Necrons, anything they can't get any biomass from. It's just a net loss.
Although the Tyranids do struggle against the Mechanicum for obvious reasons, that doesn't mean they don't ever beat them. The planet of Yorbith was invaded by Hive Fleet Kraken to devastating effect. The world was lost, but there were many Imperial citizens trying to evacuate who were shitting themselves. The legendary Night House Griffith came to their aid, holding back the Nids long enough for the refugee ships to take off and get to safety. This isn't a victory for the Imperium though. Yorvith is consumed and many knights fall in battle. Although the leagues of Votan have hit our setting in recent times, the Squats and their grisly fate are actually still canon. That fate was a massive victory for the Tyranids, which was extremely humiliating for the Squats. Off-page, their entire faction was gobbled up by the Nids. So insignificant it was that we weren't even given the name of the Hive Fleet that did it. Damn. If there's anyone that knows how to kick Tyranid ass, it's the Tau. Their long-range weaponry combined with their basic common sense tactics does wonders against the hordes of the spacebugs of death. However, the Tyranids were able to devastate Commander Firesight's homeworld of Viorlus. As the Nids invaded, the Tau enclaves were powerless to stop the onslaught. Firesight's mate, a genius Earth-cast Tau called Ovessa, was trying to develop a nanovirus with some other Earth-cast Tau. As the Tyranids overwhelmed Farsight's final line of defense, he and his men are forced to withdraw, giving the victory and the planet to the Tyranids. However, the nanovirus does its work. See, as the Earth-caste scientists were being consumed, they injected the nanovirus into themselves. As their DNA was taken to the digestion pools, the self-replicating virus was unleashed, infecting the entire Splinter Fleet and destroying it in hours. So, like, sure, not exactly a Tyranid win, but they did wipe out Commander Farsight's world, and Splinter Fleets are not particularly special or hard to create.
And the big thing about wiping out a Tau world is there's so few of them that are actually, like, Tau worlds are they're actual sept worlds. There's so actual few of them that losing one, you lose a significant percentage of the Tau Empire's overall ability to wage war.
Probably the most famous and impactful Tyranid victory in recent times is the Octarius War, when Inquisitor Cryptman had the bright idea of tricking a Tyranid hive fleet into attacking an Orc empire. Shit got real fucked real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the idea was kind of okay, let two enemies wipe each other out. However, in reality, it just made both factions really overpowered.
Right.
The Orcs swelled in size and strength due to all the fighting, whilst the Tyranids had an endless source of biomass to consume. Whoever won the Octarius War would emerge as an absolute powerhouse. And the victor was actually the Tyranids, with the Swarmlord himself recently killing the Orc Overfiend and shattering Orc cohesion. The war isn't totally over. Pockets of Orc forces are still scattered throughout the sector, slowing the Tyranids down as they finish him off, but yeah, fuck. Mega Juice, Mega Fed Tyranids are about to spill out of the sector. There is actually a rumor that the Tyranids will be the next big Xeno threat for 10th edition, kinda like how the Necrons were the new big bads for 9th. If that's the case, I expect the Octarius victory to have a big hand in that. In a war of endless Zerg rushing, the faction that looks most like Zergs are often going to win. When the Eldar and Tyranids fight, the Eldar wins almost every time. Their fighting style and low amounts of biomass is tough for the Tyranids to deal with. However, the Nids did achieve a massive victory over the Eldar once in a very bizarre way. As the Eldar were destroying the last of Hive Fleet Naga, a single bioship Leroy Jenkins at Cryford Malantai. It was destroyed, however not before unloading a final spore payload. The spores and Tyranids that landed on the Cryford were hunted down and destroyed, all except for one experimental Tyranid zoanthrope that was able to feed on psychic energy and souls instead of blood and flesh like the others do. It made its way to the Cryford Infinity Circuit, which is cum loaded with souls and psychic energy, and begun eating away. By the time the Eldar realized the zoanthrope had more or less become a god, completely invulnerable, it proceeded to destroy the entire craft world, with only a handful of survivors escaping. The Eldar cannot create new craft worlds. Each time one falls, that is literally an entire branch of the Eldar's population that falls with it. Whilst I wouldn't call this next one a major victory, it's still pretty funny as it involved the Dark Eldar getting clapped, and there's no one that deserves to get clapped more than those space elf rapists. When the Tyranid fleets are traveling through empty space, they will go into hibernation to preserve energy like any good organism would. The Dark Eldar discovered one such fleet and thought it would be a good idea to board the Nid ship and steal some of their hibernating warriors for the arenas of Comora. Unfortunately, the Dark Eldar didn't appreciate just how quickly a Tyranid can wake up. Moments after boarding, the Hive Fleet awakens with millions of Nids rushing the Dark Eldar. They die screaming as their ships desperately try to escape, realizing the mistake they made way too late. Fucking good. A big question people often ask is that have the Tyranids ever really beaten the Necrons? Can they even beat them? Well, yes, but no. A decent number of dormant Necron tomb worlds were eaten by the Nids, but even a paraplegic can beat Conor McGregor if the latter is in a drug-induced coma. When the Necrons invaded Forge World Lucius, they got ganked and beaten up by Hive Fleet Kraken. The Silent King also lists the Tyranids as the greatest threat to the galaxy, but Necrons are just such a good hard counter to the Tyranids in every way, shape and form. The Tyranids achieving a genuine victory over them just doesn't make sense. I mean, maybe in 10th edition if the Octarius Nids go beat up the Stormlord, I could potentially believe that, but as soon as the Silent King steps in, any Nid within 1,000 light years is gonna go kaput. The only two factions who have never lost to the Tyranids, even when considering minor unbalanced and unimportant battles, are the Custodies and Harlequins. I think. The former because the Custodies are boss as fuck, and the latter because the Harlequins are boss as fuck. Seeing a bit of a pattern here. Either way, the Tyranids are indeed a large threat. Even though they don't win too often, its losses are usually pretty devastating for the victor. If the Nids get the spotlight for 10th edition, then I would expect the galaxy's asshole to get significantly more destroyed in a much more severe and permanent way. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up a Major Mini. The Xenonid warriors are ready to go, and remember, we are doing the final clearance sale of the Lord of Blood. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more consumable content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
So, the Tyranids, in essence, when you really break down what the Tyranids are, is they are the Borg before Voyager. They are an absolutely mind-boggling threat that you 100% can't have the protagonist lose to. Because if you have the protagonist lose to him, it's game over. Just this tidal wave of bats. Like, you can have the Imperium lose to the Eldar all day. You can have them lose to the Orcs. You can have them lose to anybody, but not the fucking Tyranids. I think the only one that I did not hear about before was that single craft world. I did not hear about that one before. That one was new to me. The rest of those victories I have heard about, and it does seem kind of weird that. Well, it's the Ultramarines first and foremost. When the Ultramarines got Macragge started getting thunderclapped by the Tyranids. They were legitimately back on their feet within a matter of years, like fully, in terms of like where the lore was. I mean, they were recovered enough to start sending troops other places within a matter of years. It's actually kind of ridiculous when you consider it. But all that being said, come here, cat. Yep, down you go. All that being said, all of Warhammer's links. I'm an idiot. Majorkill's links are going to be in the description down below, right next to my own. Guys, I really recommend you go check out Majorkill if you haven't already. If this is your first time seeing him, well, you're in for a treat. But I still say 100% it'd be funny to watch the Tyranids actually just roll over the towel.